This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrat. BTL is brought to you by Lawrence, Bass Cat Boats, APCO, Ducket Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday afternoon, everybody. Welcome once again to another afternoon edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where Matt and I are going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, yesterday when we signed off, when we closed out the show, I was like, I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow. Well, I figured it out last night.
We have two guests today, not just one, but two.
Well, what happened was I was actually working on getting the blast from the past, Derek Remitz, on the show, and he was participating in the Chick event last week. And I had...
that would be the bass fishing tournament on Lake Chickamauga.
Yeah. I forgot that...
the Chick event could be interpreted many different ways.
Could. All right. Yeah, it could. You're right. I had him booked for Tuesday and totally forgot about it. And got my calendar out, looked at my calendar, and yeah, I had him booked.
Oh, so we got two guests today.
So not only do we have Derek Remitz on the second half of the show, the first half of the show, I went in and I looked at the guy's stats after another top 10 performance.
That's what I've been saying.
On Lake Guntersville, we're talking about who?
Luke Palmer.
Luke Palmer is going to be on the show, and he has really figured Guntersville out, dude.
Well, he's figured everywhere out. He's from like a tiny little town in southern Oklahoma.
Colgate.
That's what I said. And it's not.
You ever been to Colgate?
Yeah, I have.
Have you been to the hardware store? Because
I have not.
They own the hardware store there in Colgate.
But here's the deal. He's the second coming of Todd Faircloth.
And why do you say that?
Because he's low key. You're never going to see him wearing like hunter's orange, yelling on a bass boat. Like he's not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just not his style.
That's what Todd Faircloth does?
No, I'm saying he's like, and I'm not like comparing him. I'm just saying uber consistent and the wins will come. He has, like I said, I actually did a Baxter the Baitman's live stream the other night.
Yeah.
And he wanted to talk tournament fishing. And like I said, I went on a Luke Palmer tangent.
Okay.
Because I was like, dude, the guy's like the most underrated guy out there. And he's from Oklahoma here. And I said, even in Oklahoma, when he fished, no one would be like, oh, Luke Palmer's fishing the event. But then when Luke Palmer would win or do well, everyone would be like, well, of course, Luke Palmer catches him. You know what I mean?
All right. I have not looked at the AOI standings. I am guessing, what is he, in the 20s?
No. He's way up there. Hold on a second.
Above the 20s?
Well, no, because of the Tennessee River one. He did suck in that one. He finished 95th. Sorry, Luke.
Okay.
Let me pull it up.
Am I right? I think he's in the 20s.
Hold on. Oh, God. I hate it when you open up a window and then you exit out. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There's Greg Hackney holding his special frog on the cover. View full standings.
And?
Boy, that
is he above 20?
He's 24th.
All right. That was close because I did remember that he had one bad tournament. I couldn't remember what place it was. But
that one kept him out of the Angler. He'd have been right there in the Angler of the Year.
Right? Yeah. So we're going to talk to Luke here in about 10, 15 minutes.
But listen to his finishes. These are his Elite Series finishes. Let's start at the beginning. So 20. So he fished the Opens. He qualified in 2018, right? He messed around a little bit in 16, but he went 5th, 50th, 25th, and 30th, and then 8th in the championship. So then starting on the Elite Series in 2019. So you're talking a little bit over 2 years, right?
Okay.
And this is 19th, 55th, 33rd, 8th, 11th, 47th, 34th, 39th, 30th, 29th, 34th, 15th, 49th, 54th, 23rd, 62nd, 3rd, 18th, 44th, 40th, 32nd. See a theme here? 95th.
Yeah.
Horrible. 43rd, 24th, 35th, 29th, and 8th. Like, dude, and on the Elite Series, now granted that one of those years was like, what, 75 guys?
Yeah.
And then one of them's like 85, and now it's back to 100, but it's consistently staying the same. That's like that 12 to 14, 15-pound range every single day, bringing in a limit every single day on all sorts of different fisheries.
But he struggled in the beginning.
No, he never has.
He's never struggled.
He's never struggled.
That first year, he didn't struggle.
No, I just read it off to you.
What year was that? What year was that?
2019. His first Elite Series events ever. He went 19th, 55th, then he went 33rd, 8th, 11th. Those were his first 5.
In 2019, really?
Yes.
How many events were there in 2019?
8, 9.
Okay, so what do you do the last 3?
I literally just read off.
I know. I'm trying. Let me get to a point.
Well, he does the same.
You only read off 5.
In the first, but he does the same in every single tournament. So 39th, 30th, and 29th. He's like always right there.
Okay.
That's really solid.
That is solid.
Now, don't go back on the if you're not winning, you're failing. No, Mark Jeffries of old. I mean, we've made so much headway since those days.
I'm not going there.
We're a little feisty today.
There's no reason to go there.
We had an epic knockdown drag out fight before the show started on the best route to get to Oneida Lake. Like, I was screaming at the computer looking at it. Jeffries was...
you were mad at MapQuest, not me.
No, you were mad at MapQuest.
I was mad at MapQuest.
You were saying that MapQuest was wrong. You were...
No. What was I looking at, though? I was looking at a
Here's
graph
all it was.
Of the interstates.
I said, you go through Cleveland on the way up to Oneida.
And I was wrong.
And Jeffrey said, oh my gosh, you did say.
Yeah.
Jeffrey said, absolutely not. And I said, absolutely.
My friend, the map that I was looking at did not show the direct route through Cleveland. That is why I had the premise that I did, based upon the map that I was looking at.
You can either go across and up, or you can... Is that called the hypotenuse of the triangle? Isn't the hypotenuse...
I think so,
isn't the straight line the hypotenuse where you go to Cleveland and then you shoot right up that North Shore, and then it gets crisper and the cheese curds get better and the beer gets darker the further you go up?
So he was right. And MapQuest was right. And I was wrong. And I have no problem admitting that.
But, dude, it was a fun 5 minutes.
But I based my premise on what I was looking at. Now, I could make the argument that the map I was looking at is wrong, until I looked at MapQuest and he put forth his argument, of which he was right.
But anyway, that's why we're a little feisty for the show, because literally as the intro was running, we were yelling about whether or not we go through Cleveland.
No, I said, oh, okay. All right. I was wrong.
But anyway, long story short, do you not see my comparison with an early career Todd Faircloth as far as really mellow, really consistent? Yeah. I think he'll start knocking out the wins in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
We've had him in studio before. Well-spoken dude.
Yeah. He's got a lot of game too, and he's figured out Guntersville, because the last 2 times that they've been there, he had a top 10 finish.
A lot like James Elam, in my opinion. Kind of that same, built from that same cloth.
Yeah. So we're going to have Luke on here in about 5-10 minutes. And then in the second half of the show, we'll have Derek Remitz find out what he's going on, guiding on Lake Guntersville, get his thoughts on Lake Guntersville, the Guntersville event, talk about him getting back into the tournament fishing game a little bit. And, you know, a couple of years ago, he suffered a really, really bad automobile
during an Elite Series event when they were there. It took him a long time to recover.
But he's doing good now, and we will find out what else Derek Remitz has going on.
How was camp today?
Camp was excellent. Final day of camp. We have another camp in June that we'll be doing. But like I said yesterday, it was just great to get back into the gym, sit on the sidelines, play a little basketball, get up and down the court, scream and yell, and have a lot of fun. I love summer camps. Summer camps are really, really important to me. as a coach. I think it's more important for the kids because you kind of establish what it's going to be like once the official start date, which is October 1st, gets here, and especially the freshmen. The freshmen now realize what high school basketball is all about. Used to be just middle school basketball. Now they know what high school basketball is all about. All right, I want to ask your opinion. Yesterday, I asked your thoughts on the whole alternate situation that was based upon an email that I received from the fan.
Okay.
Was not a situation or an argument that I was trying to win, lose, or draw. It was just a statement, opinion of a fan to bring up on the show.
Basically, if a guy like we had in the John Cox situation made the cut but was unable to fish on the third day, should the guy who was first out of the cut get to fish on the third day?
Yeah. All right. That's behind us.
Yeah.
And I understand your point, and you make multiple valid points about that situation. Today, did you see what happened during an interview that Brooks Koepka was having?
I know he's got him and Bryson DeChambeau are not BFFs.
So
I know
have you seen the video?
No, I haven't seen it today, but there's a long running, like they just don't like each other.
No. And I think that the H word might even be in play. Hate. I think they hate each other. Seriously. So he's doing an interview, and
who's doing an interview?
Koepka.
Okay.
And here comes, is it Bryson?
If you just type in KOE, it comes up Koepka DeChambeau beef.
Oh, yeah. So while he was doing the interview, anyway, he walked up right behind him, and then he gave the old eye roll and said a bunch of cuss words. Not at him.
Koepka
did.
Wait, DeChambeau is getting interviewed?
No. Koepka's getting interviewed. DeChambeau walked behind him.
And then Koepka rolled his eyes at him.
Yeah, and he was like, wait a minute. Sorry, that was BS.
Because he thought that he walked behind him just to get in the shot.
Yeah. So anyway.
Oh, no. I clicked on an article about it, and now I just won $1 million, and all I have to do is fill my IP address.
So,
my computer is compromised. All I'm trying to do
I'm glad that's your laptop, not mine. All right.
Oh, here's a history of the Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka beef.
All right. A lot of people are saying, hey, this is going to be great for golf, a beef, a battle of hatred, and hey, let's put them in the same draw or the same flight or whatever it's called, same pairing at the next tournament, and see how they handle that. Well, it got me thinking. And as we do all the time here, we always take stuff that's going on in the real world and try and apply it to fishing. Okay? So what if you had, and this is not an Elite Series event, this is not an MLF event, this is not whatever event. This is just a special event to see what would happen. Let me get your opinion on this. What if you watched it? You just watched it?
No, I read the beef. Did you know that DeChambeau on a live stream said, yeah, Brooks doesn't even have any abs? And Koepka posted 4 trophies and said, I'm too short of a six-pack.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. What if you just had a event, and what I want your opinion on is entertainment value, money, okay, and techniques that you would see. What if you had a 2-day qualifying event? You paying attention?
No, I'm reading about the beef. Okay.
2 days. So you had a 2-day qualifying event. 50 boats. Now, 100 players, though. Okay? On day one, and obviously you would draw and do all this and everything. On day one, at the meeting, before day one, at the meeting, everybody gets paired up.
Okay.
But it's like old school. It's like the old BP 150s. Except there's no flip. Because what's going to happen is, let's say me and you draw out.
Okay.
On day one, we're going to use my boat.
Right.
On day two, we're going to use your boat.
Okay.
So now you may have a Jason Christie paired up with a Greg Hackney.
And one day they're in Hacks, and one day they're
in Hackney's boat. The other day they're in Christie's boat.
Okay.
Just like the way it used to be.
Okay.
Okay. And then you cut to the top 10. top 10 on day 3. And those 10 guys get to use their own boats.
You sure you're not describing a BPT event here with all the...
No, because you set up rules just like they had the unwritten rules back in the BP 150 days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had the specific rules, then they had the written rules.
Well, why not just do like what Bass... Okay, so it would be...
You weren't even listening.
No, it would. You would have 2 days of fishing head-to-head with someone else.
In the same boat.
But then the top 10 would get to fish out of their own boat on the final.
That's right.
And it would count for points?
No, it's just a one-off. It's a one-off event.
Okay.
Okay.
I like it because it gives you the opportunity to win the event on your own without this impact, but then you also have the either working together or the friction of the 2 days that the fans would get to see.
So from an entertainment standpoint, would the fans enjoy an event like that? 100%.
But, okay, so I'm going to take your idea and then hybridize it a little bit because I like that idea. But remember when they used to have the vote in for the All-Star, and the most popular vote would get to go to All-Star Week on the Elite Series. And they had a picture of every single guy there, and you could vote for Gerald Swindle, and you could vote for...
Okay.
Remember that?
I remember that.
Well, why not put everybody up there, and then instead of just voting them in, you vote who they fish with?
So the fans
decide who the pairings are.
That's not a bad idea. Now you got the fan engagement.
Yeah.
So if the fans wanted to see Christie with Greg Hackney...
Or Ike with KVD.
So how would you set that up, though?
I'm just... Okay, I haven't gotten that far. I'm just saying.
It would be cool to get the interaction from the fans.
Okay, here's what you do. You have the top 12 guys, and they're blah, 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 and then you vote. Everyone else just says who fishes with Clark Wendlandt. And then whoever gets the most percentage of votes to fish with Clark Wendlandt, that's the boat he goes with.
I still think that's really complicated, and I love the fact that the fans are engaged, but I still would love to live stream the draw and see the reaction on every single angler that's in the 100 angler field on name comes up, Jason Christie paired up with
Tommy Biffle
or whoever it is,
yeah.
And see their reaction. And then actually, once they get paired up, everybody signs something that they say, hey, look, we agree that you guys are going to follow us. And not at that time, but like the conversations are taped and put into the can to make an actual additional television event
just like
or
Brandon
live stream.
Polinick's deal because he's got the audio, or Scott Martin, he's got an audio, but you're hearing everything that's going on in the boat and you're seeing it from a different boat.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when Tommy Biffle and Jason Christie go to meet for the first time, there's audio of that meeting, and then they walk over to the corner, they walk outside, and that entire conversation that's taking place on...
It'd be like, okay, that's a bad one because they're like buddies, I'm sure. We got like, I understand what you're saying, like a Justin Lucas, Jacob Wheeler.
Whatever.
That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I would.
So from an entertainment standpoint,
right.
I think the fans would thoroughly enjoy that.
Oh, 100%. I would watch that. But
thoroughly,
how many
nobody
good
has done
matchups
that,
how many good matchups are there in fishing? Would you say?
A bunch.
You think there are?
From an entertainment standpoint?
I feel like as a whole, this sport squashes beefs way too quickly.
You and I both know from what we've witnessed behind stage, there are beefs. There are beefs. Now, in front of everything, everything's peachy.
It's beef free.
Yeah.
It's vegan.
It's beyond meat, okay?
Yeah. It's PETA.
But
behind the stage,
but you and I both know we've been in this game too long to see certain guys paired up the fans would thoroughly enjoy.
Now, I don't know. We can ask Luke this, but I've heard since the new Elite Series in 2019, it's all kumbaya. There's never been a crossword said behind stage. Everybody just high fives and congratulates each other on epic days.
One more time?
There's no beefs on the Elite Series anymore. Everyone gets along. It's a great...
That's not true.
No on-the-water confrontations, nothing.
Oh, we're going to get verification from Luke
everybody
on that,
just
right?
gets along now.
All right. We didn't dive into it that much, but the idea from what I was saying, the entertainment from a fan's perspective would be off the charts.
I agree.
Okay? The technique that fans could learn from watching these guys work together would be off the charts.
Oh, so it would be a team event for the first.
It's not a team. They're competing against each other.
It in a way, it's like a little bit like the ultimate match fishing. There's some elements
in a way.
They've done that a little bit in ultimate match fishing.
Yeah, in a way. In a way, but there's some funky rules and stuff like that. And then the final thing, would it be a great way for these guys to win additional money? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it is a one-off event. Now, having said that, as a result of this thing, if it ever did happen, you might even create more of the fans taking sides with certain anglers based upon what takes place during that event.
But they've tried all these all-star one-off group combined stuff.
But that's not what this is. It's not an all-star event.
It's just a specialty event.
It's just a specialty event. Now, I will say this, and then we're going to take a break and come back with Luke. I think it is time, finally, to have not just the Bassmaster Classic, because nothing else will be like the Bassmaster Classic. I think it is finally time to have a Tournament of Champions, where the only people that are invited to this event are people that have won a blue trophy.
In the past 10 years. Or since the inception.
Since the inception.
14 years.
All right, and then you make it, I don't know how many people that is. We need Ken Duke.
That would be awesome. How many do you think would accept?
Well, no. What I'm saying is, let's take a number. How many do you think? 25?
25 what?
Different champions?
Oh, no.
50? 50? You think there's 50?
Oh, heck yeah.
That's a number we need to get, all right?
Well, I'm going to use... Faircloth has 4, Aaron has 4, 5.
Hang on a minute. I'm going to use the number 50.
Okay, let's say there's 50.
Let's say there's 50. So whoever that 50th person is, date-wise, because you go back on the calendar, the oldest champion of a Bassmaster Elite Series, not in age, I'm talking about the date that they earned the trophy and the win, they would be the 50th slot. So now, if somebody... take like Luke Palmer, was not in the Tournament of Champions, and let's say he wins at Lake Champlain, now he's in the field of 50 at the top of the list. Mm-hmm. And whoever was 50th drops out. So the field always stays at 50.
I got you. And so you basically have an exemption into it until there's 50 winners ahead of you.
Or if you win again, then you're back in there. Now, if you win the Classic, if you win...
an Angler of the Year. Those would be the only two things.
You may have like a 3-year exemption or something like that.
But then it'd just be a one-off high money Tournament of Champions.
It needs to be an additional thing. I think, once again, in the best interest of the anglers, the fans, and the sponsors to get involved in the TSC would absolutely bring an enormous value.
Okay, serious question. How many guys do you think would accept that invite? Since it would be run through Bass.
That would be interesting to see. It really would be. Because obviously you'd have some guys that are currently fishing the BPT.
The majority of the guys.
Yeah.
And you would also have some retired guys.
You would. We're going to have to get Ken Duke to work on that list. If we go 50, who would be in the field? That would be very, very interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
So, you like my two ideas? The Tournament of Champions and then the one-off, let's pair everybody up and go BP Top 150 style. Back in the old days. That's the way it used to be, man. Even in the Opens.
Yeah, there hasn't been a tournament where they're sharing a boat, but they're fishing individually in a couple decades.
It's probably the 90s. Yeah, you're right.
You have to put it in May when the water's in the bushes somewhere. Like, you have to put it where it promotes chaos and arguments.
It would be entertaining. May would be a good
I mean, do you think
month.
Christie would be happy if anyone flips ahead of him on a flooded willow on Grand
entertaining?
In May when he's getting ready? I mean, he knows that fish lives there, and boom, some guy snipes it, and now not only did he not catch it, but now he's down 4.5 pounds?
Would that not be entertaining? I'm telling you, I think it's a cool idea. We'll see what kind of hate mail I get on this one, but I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely the TOC. That needs to happen very, very, very soon. So, all right, folks, went a little long there. We're going to take a break. Come back with Luke Palmer here on the Tuesday afternoon show. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. The best fish finding tools, from chirp sonar and fish reveal to active imaging and new active target live sonar, and complete touchscreen control from your trolling motor to your big motor. For a limited time, building the ultimate fishing system will be easier on your wallet. Upgrade to HDS Live with a Ghost trolling motor, active target sonar, or live site sonar, and save up to $800.
Basscat's legendary 20-foot platform has been paired with angler-approved accessories for 2021. Puma FTD features the proven hull used by many of the top names in bass fishing today, backed by a transferable lifetime warranty. The Puma FTD boasts a full team deck concept which enhances efficiency for you and your tournament partners. Turnkey tournament-winning performance. The Puma FTD SP from Basscat.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
You've been waiting all week for this, and Sunline wants to make sure you're ready for it with bulk spools of all your favorite fishing lines.
Oh, it's so fun.
Bulk up with Sunline.
Utilizing my experience, utilizing my time on the water, evolving as an angler, and that evolution should never stop. You have to do it every day. From when you wake up in the morning, you got to be thinking about changing, continually changing every minute, every cast. That's really the premise of fishing the moment.
Hey everyone, Brandon Polnick here. People always be asking me what I got tied on. And I'm like, X-Zone lures. And they're like, Brandon, why you got X-Zone lures tied on? And I'm like, let me show you why.
The bite.
Get out of there! Get out of there! Oh, yeah! Oh, it's pretty stinking. Get in here! Oh, God. Giant. Oh, my gosh! Oh, my gosh!
I think you get the point.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday afternoon, and we are ready to go to our first special guest. And once again, folks, man, I love hearing from you. I want some feedback on that. Yeah. Is it a stupid idea? Is it something that wouldn't work? Would you be entertained? Would you watch it?
No, I think it's good. It's got a little old school element in it.
Yeah.
It's got a little entertainment element in it. Gives a little money to the guys.
We'll see. So, mark@basszone.com. Just shoot it my way, and we'll see what the fans think. All right, it is time to go to a man having a really, really solid year and really having a solid career so far. And he happens to be from Oklahoma, and I'm proud to say that, man.
Yeah.
He's from Colgate, Oklahoma, a very, very small town and a pretty cool town.
He's an old school Okie. I mean, I think he does like cattle. He does like I said, we've had him in studio. He does the store, like a business owner, and then he just goes
Hardware
out and
store.
takes care of business.
Especially at Lake Guntersville. Made another top 10, so I thought it'd be cool to get him on and have him talk a little bit about his success. So let's bring him in now. Luke, how you doing?
Doing good, guys. How's it going?
It's going great. Thank you so much for taking time out. I know things are busy once you get back in town. A lot of stuff you got to take care of, but I thought it would be great to have you on and talk a little bit about another top 10 finish on Guntersville, man.
Yeah, it was. It's definitely an interesting week for me. I was glad. I needed something like that to happen. You said it's been a pretty decent year for me, but not where I want to be for sure.
All right, let's kind of dive into the last couple events that have been on Guntersville. You've done really well. I mean, you've had 2 top 10s on the Bassmaster Elite Series. Why do you think you've kind of got dialed in on Guntersville?
I don't know if I've been dialed in or not yet. I think it's just a matter of I've been able to try something different. The first time we got there, I didn't make the cut, and that really frustrated me because even though it is a grass lake, it kind of set up to like some of the ponds I fished around here because we don't have good grass around here like those lakes do. I'm starting to learn the lake more and more, and where I actually caught the fish this time, probably 80% of my fish, I had the waypoints from 3 years ago that I went and pre-practiced and put them on there. So I was kind of being able to, I knew where I could go catch some fish, so I could be able to write that off and go and fish some stuff that was more off the wall, I guess, for me, and not just on the bank like I like to do.
All right, Matt?
Dude, you threw like a rogue, like a Grand Lake rogue. It appears to the picture that I saw. And Jason Christie threw a spinning rod. It was like an upside down world.
Yeah.
But how did you get on that? And was that one of the old rogues? Is that a Grand Lake rogue?
Well, I'm gonna say it's more. I ain't got to be up to Grand as much as I'd like to. It was one of those deals. I've looked back and said, Hank Cherry's whacked them on a rogue every single time we've been there, or jerk bait. So I said, I'm gonna get on that. I don't know what kind of felt right. And after I didn't use it actually the first day till about 10 o'clock, and all of a sudden I threw a one knocker up on this grass flat, and I lost one big one, over 6. And I was thinking something's got to be a little bit more than that. And I picked up the rogue, and I started catching them really, really well on it. And as the tournament progressed, we lost all of our clouds and lost my wind, and I had to bait and get into something that was a little more translucent and stuff and throw that around. But that was what kind of got me keyed on, was that old purple back. My dad calls it purple passion. Bandit used to have a crankbait, and we lived off of that thing in the fall. And so my dad always called it purple passion. So that was my name for it. I don't even know what it's called, so that's my purple passion crankbait.
Very nice. All right, I'm curious. Can you tell me, another selfish question by myself, but that's all right. I want to know how difficult it was on day one with the wind blowing. How did that affect your game on day one?
Well, it did, but where I was at, really where I thought I never even got to fish in the tournament.
Really?
I went in there on day one, which I thought I pulled into an area I thought I could catch me 12 to 15 pounds. I pull in there, and on like my 10th cast, I lose 1 over 6. Pull around anything, and I was actually on a south wind or south bank, so the wind didn't affect me as bad. So I was able to catch the fish pretty good and run in my primary area, and where I done probably 80% of my damage there. On the side of the lake that I thought I'd do well, the wind had blown it out. And really doesn't make sense how much grass is there, and it was just blowing across, and it would dirty them up. And when it dirtied up, I never got a bite. And that really confused me because, breeze up, it's fine. It really makes it better, and this time it didn't for me.
Matt?
I threw out a bunch of numbers beforehand just talking about your consistency over your entire career. And for our listeners and me who struggle with consistency, What is it that allows you to not always find the winning pattern, not always find the most impressive pattern, but always find something to get the job done and get out of there with a check in your pocket?
Luck. You get a little bit of luck every now and then. You got to have that. From how it is around here, we have some good bass lakes, but you know what type of stuff there is in this country. I mean, there are some phenomenal places. And this term was actually really a surprise for me. I was able to catch more than 6 fish a day. And it was kind of nice. I got to use my coil tag this week, and it was kind of fun. But I just grind and just keep my head down. Put something in my hand that I'm very familiar with and want to use. Because I have learned, if you get out of your realm, you will get your teeth kicked in with these guys. I mean, it's, just like Christy, look how well, and I don't know, he got lost with a spinning rod this week. I don't know what he was doing, and it was left-handed. I thought he had it upside down for a second.
I know.
But
the wrong-handed spinning reels really get me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's Christy calling right now.
Yeah. Well, he did call into us, remember?
Yeah, he's on me. But
he's on it.
That's what I've just been trying to do what I like to do. Because I did try to do some stuff the first year at Guntersville, and I didn't do what I like. And if you don't have confidence in it, it's not as good. You're just not going to have it for yourself. Or I don't. Other guys can do it. I've got to stay with my 5 rods on the deck, and that's the only way I can do it. I had 20 to practice, and just kept reverting back to the jerk bait, which I started throwing that Zara spook after I figured it out. After I couldn't catch anything before 10 or 10:30 on the Zara spook. Pick it up in the middle of the day and throw it, and they would have seen it before in their entire lives.
Sunny, calm conditions.
Wow.
It was weird. I mean, throw it up there and they would come from a mile away to blast it. It was pretty neat, but I just didn't. I beat that jerkbait, and I should have picked up the Zara spook and the flipping rod, and I kept watching that live scope, and they kept following it out, and it's hard to lay something down when you see what's happening.
Wow.
Is that not complete opposite of conventional wisdom? Because Guntersville is the most pressured lake, in the world.
Probably.
And the spook is usually that. So Suddy called and spook. That's interesting.
That is interesting.
I mean, and you throw it up there in 2 inches of water, like the hooks would be dragging the ground, and they would blow up on it. It was like you said. After normally 9 o'clock, you put that rod up and forget about it.
How'd you figure that out? I mean, was it desperate? Most guys wouldn't have even done that. How'd you figure that deal out?
It was just not necessarily a fluke. One day in practice, it was kind of cloudy. I mean, just a little bit. It was almost a good topwater day and had some wind. And I picked it up and threw it up there in 2 inches of water, and about a 3-pounder drilled it in a second. Well, this might have something to do with it, because I don't know if maybe the shadow off of it was better up in the day, but a lot of them were on brim beds. So maybe those brim got more active then, and that's when the bass would be up there and really, pilfering through the beds, and that's whenever I'd pick it up, and that's when they'd eat it. Couldn't every morning of practice, and it never would pan out for me.
Wow. All right, man, I have one final question, Matt, and then we'll let Luke go. I'm really curious, making the top 10 and fishing on that final day, I want you to be honest. How would you describe what Caleb did to get the blue trophy and kick everybody's butt by the amount of weight that he won by? What are your thoughts on that?
It sucked for us to go out there and fish against him final day, 20 pounds behind you.
I know, but seriously, how much of a talent, how much of a unique situation was that where he did what he did from somebody that was on the water that final day and all 4 days?
Yeah, it was for a flipping bite to pan out for that many days.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen. I mean, how long ago has it been since since a complete flipping bite has won. A slow one, at Pickwick. But really the last one has been when Denny Breyer fished and beat everybody's teeth in. It seemed like it's been that long to me. I mean, I know it's happened.
A straight flipping bite.
But
yeah,
it was. I mean, he's really good at that. I've watched him the last few years, and he's a flipper. He needs to move to Oklahoma. He'd love it here. Flipping rocks and bushes. And, he would like it. But it was impressive, the guy. I met him at Knoxville this year. He was staying in the same campground, and he come by the boat one night, and we talked out there for a good while. And just a really laid back, just good old boy. And I was kind of pulling for him. I didn't want him to blank, but it would have helped me out. Still wouldn't have caught him. But
wow. Well,
he could have literally blanked, and
he'd have finished second.
Yeah, you finished second.
Yeah.
Wow.
It happens. It's no matter what tournament you win anymore. It doesn't matter. It doesn't seem at any level now. You've got to have things go right. You can't lose fish. I've got to fish a few team trails with my dad. One, I guess, since I've been back this year, got lucky and fished with him. You can't lose fish anymore. These guys are impressive from top to bottom. It doesn't matter if it's 10 boat field or 200 boat. These guys can fish now really well. It's not just if out of 200 you got 100 guys that could legit come in and win one.
Yeah. Well, man, you're having a terrific year, and how do you feel about the two remaining events, the Northern Swing? You feel confident going into there, and hopefully things will continue as well on the trend that you've showcased so far this year.
Yeah, I had that screw up at Knoxville that really, it would have pushed me on up in the point. Just had a halfway decent tournament, but I bombed. I want the Classic's main goal. I mean, that's just the main thing to make it to there. And I'm sitting in the 20s in points now, and it's tight from 50th. So, I mean, it's still pretty tensed up for me to make it. But I've had a decent tournament at Champlain last year, but the fish are not going to be in the same stage. How the weather's been this year for us. St. Lawrence is going to be another thing. I've struggled up there, and it's been tough on me. But you learn every time you go to these places. You learn a little bit more. So hopefully, I can go up there and get some checks. Maybe get me a top 10. I'd love to have another top 10 this year. Make a couple of dollars out the year, and I'd really like to do good in this next tournament coming up. I don't know if y'all heard about it down at Fort Worth, but
Nah, we're not going to talk about that at all.
Going on.
Was it 19 days away now? 20 days away?
Yeah, something like
it's
that.
Right around there. So, yeah, I guess that'll be the next time we see you.
Yeah. All right, man. Well,
not if you come to Dardanelle this weekend. Horizon's putting on that buddy tournament down there. It's $10,000 for it.
Have at it, Matt. Get after it. Don't you know Dardanelle well?
I'm 0 for 6 this year, so another tournament is not in my budget, Mark.
Well,
no, I'm 1 for 6. The one I cashed in, it paid $200.
That's true. All right, Luke, man, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much for taking time out, man. A very, very solid year so far. Good luck at the Classic, and we wish you the best the last two events of the Bassmaster Elite Series. And, man, take care. Best of luck to you.
All right, see y'all later.
All right, there you have it, folks. Luke Palmer, good dude, man.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had him in studio before. We will definitely get him in studio once again.
Similar personality to Remitz. I mean, it seems like nothing bothers him. Like to just kind of go out and do your thing, stick with what you like, catch them. I mean, do you not remember when Remitz, the first time he came on the scene, everyone was like, who is this guy? He doesn't get fired up. All he does is catch him.
He got fired up a little bit, man.
A little bit, but I mean, he was a rookie. He was winning. He made like $150,000 in his first 2 events.
He earned it though, dude. He paid his dues.
Okay,
man.
so everyone called him the Wolverine, and that was what Zona. But you had, what was your nickname for him?
The next big thing, I think is what I called him. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. The next big thing, I think, is what I called him.
That was back when you were in like a nickname war.
Yeah, I was kind of.
You really were. You took a lot.
Chad the Iceman Griffin.
You took a lot of pride in your nicknames. The next big thing.
Fred Robanus.
The problem with that is, it's got a limited shelf life.
Yeah,
It's kind of like Brandon Polinick. Like, at what point are you no longer a prodigy?
But
You're
Boom
the man.
Boom Boom was the greatest.
No. You've got a nickname in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, Mark.
I do?
Yeah.
Which one?
Harold the Legend Allen.
Oh, yeah.
It's literally in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame that you named him.
That's true.
Harold Allen, the legend.
The legend, yeah. That was fun, man. It's fun to dig out some of those tapes and just go, holy crap, was that?
DFW?
That was pretty raw there.
Remember DFW? David Walker? I'm DFW.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Hey, we're going to reflect with the man, Derek Remitz, here after this short break. We'll be back with Mr. Remitz. Everybody stay tuned.
Companies get bigger and bigger and talk about their fancy labs where they study fish behavior, but then they all go golfing on the weekend. We don't have a large laboratory to test baits. Why, you ask? We don't need a big laboratory because our pros fish, our employees fish, our salespeople fish, our suppliers fish, our mold builders fish, our owners fish, and our kids fish. This is our laboratory. Our R&D comes from time on the water, learning how to make fish bite. All that time on the water brings us thousands of hours of testing new products and improving current ones for all species.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks. Why? Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
Pro-inspired, pro-designed. Tested and proven by legends on the water. Dominating the tournament trail for over 50 years. Everything you need, one legendary brand. Strike King.
Hey guys, Major League Fishing Pro, Jacob Wheeler here with my new Signature Series line of rods with Duckett Fishing. We have my 7.2 cranking rod right here. Crankbaits can be very fickle, and having the right, having a lot of tip can be too much, and having not enough tip can, lose a lot of fish. So you really got to be careful. There's 1 or 2 techniques that I'm really adamant about having the perfect action as a crankbait, especially like a square bill, a DT6, those medium running crankbaits in the springtime when those fish's mouth are pretty tough. That's when I'm really on top of having my actions just perfect.
Guys, what makes our Spro lures beat the competition?
I mean, you have to admit, we nailed it with my McSticks and rock crawlers.
Man, we've all won money on my plugs.
My Wamix shot put fish in my boat. One thing's for sure, we all count on our Spro lures to beat the competition.
Designing cutting-edge baits with some of America's top anglers. Spro lures beat the competition. To see the entire lineup, visit a retailer near you or spro.com.
The Ned rig. What rod should I be using with the Ned rig? My favorite is the Denali Lithium multi-spin rod. It's our 7'4" length, great Ned rig rod. It's got a great sensitive tip on it. It's long enough where I can make long casts, which you're usually fishing clear water with a Ned rig, and it's got enough backbone to get those fish in. So check it out, Denali Lithium Series 7'4" multi-spin.
I wasn't kidding.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday, and it is time.
That is the rod, though. As I said, they're selling like hotcakes, a 7'4" multi-spin.
Use it a lot, don't you?
I do. You know what would surprise people a lot?
What's that?
And I hope he still does this. How much
What's that?
Derek Remitz drop shots on Guntersville? He's probably gonna
We're
be
about to
upset that I
find
said
out.
that.
And then he may be mad at you.
I mean, I think that's kind of
a thing.
That's a thing. That's becoming a thing everywhere.
It is.
Chickamauga,
Yeah.
Guntersville,
Yeah.
Falcon. Maybe not Falcon.
Jeez. All right, this next guest, I remember when he took the stage at the very first Bassmaster Elite Series event. I was there. I witnessed greatness. And then we went on to the California Delta and continued to witness greatness during that day one of
He was
the
Rookie
California
of the Year,
Delta.
wasn't he?
Yeah, 2007, I believe.
You think he still carries around that trophy in his pocket?
No. He probably could, because it was about as big as the king in a chess set.
Anytime we could get a shot at the size of the Rookie of the Year trophy, we take it.
Yeah. All right, let's bring him in now. Derek, how you doing, man?
No, I'm doing good, guys. How y'all doing?
Fantastic, man. I can't tell you how cool it is to have you on the show. It's been a while since I've seen you, and the most important thing right now is I'm glad health-wise you're doing much better, man.
Oh, I sure appreciate it. Yeah, it was touch and go there a little while, but turned the corner and it passed. Stuff happens, and I got a 4-year-old that kept me going. That's for darn sure.
That's great. That is really, really cool. And I know there were a lot of challenges after you had your accident, but man, you're back fishing now, and I assume you're back guiding too also. Is that correct?
Yes, I am, yeah. And actually, that's funny. Just before that, you guys brought back a lot of memories. I tuned in there with Lou Palmer, and boy, that was a lot of old good memories from back in the day. And then talk about the Rookie of the Year trophy. My kid uses that when we have the little spin around fishing game. And we have a little tournament with, he calls it a tournament, and then he brings that down, or he brings all that stuff, cool trophies that Dave used to make all the time.
Yeah.
That's what we use the most for anyway these days.
Wait.
Oh, that's awesome.
The automated one with the little ball on the end where the fish chomp, and then you catch the fish in between the teeth, and he wins the blue trophy.
Yep, and if I catch more than him, he just steals mine, gets the trophy anyway. So.
All right, that's awesome, man. I want to kind of chop this interview up in sections, and really what I want to reflect on first is what has been happening, say, since your accident from a fishing standpoint, and what is the commitment from you to continue to progress and get back into tournament fishing, if that exists at all?
You know, it's never out of the question. I got back on my feet pretty quick, I mean, from the circumstances. I was back to work in about 4 months, and had fished a little in between and was doing some trips along the way. Honestly, this year, I fished the Toyota Series. It just happened to be like the perfect setup, the way the schedules were, with one being on Guntersville. Most of the tournaments were during weekdays, and I happened to work on weekends, so I don't have to take too much vacation. It's kind of like, when I started in the elites, it's like, if it's not obvious to try it right now, just the way the circumstances were. And not that it was a goal of mine to do anything except just kind of make Pickwick, but being one on Guntersville, and I've never been to Dale Hollow, and then Chickamauga being fairly close as well, is like, just I kind of had the itch to do some bigger tournaments. I always love fishing tournaments. I fished a lot of the BFLs and, that open series and anything that comes around here that, how Guntersville is kind of like Oklahoma and Texas. There's always a good paying tournament every weekend if you get your money into it. And
yeah.
Just kind of had the itch to fish something a little bit bigger, and the schedule was perfect, and everything worked out great to do it. And Not saying I would anything to be out of the question. I just got to get little man a little bit farther along before I decide to make any commitments like that.
Yeah, understand. All right, the next part I want to go back to is I want to reflect back to the era of prior to your Elite Series debut. And Matt and I have kind of talked a little bit about how Bradley Hallman actually came up and introduced himself to you and started talking at Grand Lake. But you're originally from Minnesota, and we have a lot of new listeners and people that watch Bass Talk Live. In a very short, condensed version, kind of explain how this whole thing got started and you ended up at the Bassmaster Elite Series.
I guess kind of in a nutshell, I'd always grown up fishing in Minnesota, worked on the sod farm with the family. Kind of just wanted to do it. My parents were like, well, you've been working here since you're 6 years old, pretty much. Just go do it while you're young and try it. And they had a little place in Texas they let me stay at down by Toledo Bend. And that was the year I fished the Open. That was actually, I think, the year I met Hallman in 2005. Well, six range, because that was the year I ended up qualifying for the Elite. Then we got to be travel buddies that year, and it was, I don't mean to toot my own horn or nothing, but just talking with Luke Palmer about getting lucky. I kind of got lucky that year. It was the one year where if you won the points in the Opens, you got your entry fees paid for in the Elite. So that was kind of like, duh, I better just try it anyway. And but ended up, from moving from there to Alabama with a few buddies, and we're just three bachelors living in a little house for $400 a month, and all of us fished between Bass or FLW, and I guess the rest was kind of history after that. It was the next 10 years, 12 years of my life, actually.
Yeah. 2007, that was the year that you won at Lake Homestead, and then you turn around in the very next event, as I mentioned earlier, you led the California Delta. Come on, man, seriously. Do you ever reflect back at how incredible that run that you had your rookie season was in the grand scheme of people trying to tournament fish?
I kind of do. I just look back at it in a way of like, that did happen. No matter what, nobody can take it away from you, and whether you got lucky or ran across it. You call it luck, but you run across stuff that happens that maybe got overlooked. However you want to look at fish, you hear all the stories about it, but you take advantage of the opportunity in front of you, I guess, when you happen to run across it, whether you lucked into it or not. And I do kind of look back at it like it was fun. No matter what, I'm glad I did it when I did it. And not to harp on my kid, but we used to watch, Bass used to send us all the DVDs of all the episodes every year.
Yeah.
And I still got them all. And about 2 years ago, he started what he calls it the Daddy Show. We watch Amistad. We used to watch that with a glass of milk before bedtime. So
that's awesome. That is a great story there.
He's on the Paw Patrol and all that other stuff. He don't care nothing about it. He still likes fishing, but he don't care about them old shows no more. So.
Wow. All right, Matt.
Who do you keep in contact with that still fishes, either the BPT or the Elite Series or any of that stuff? Or, did you kind of get away from it for a couple years there, or are you still buddies with some of those guys?
Yeah, I still talk to them off and on. There was quite a few guys, and, the localer guys from around here, Alabama. Like, I remember Russ Lane and Swindell and a few other guys stopped in, at the hospital, check in with me. Shoot, that was almost 2 years ago now already, but, I still stay in touch pretty well with Gerald because he just actually lives down the road from me here. Actually, I bought one of his engines, so I owe him some money, or I owed him some money anyway. But we got all that squared away, and just every once in a while check in. I ain't heard from Hallman in a while, but I still keep in touch with him and the Lanes. I used to run with Bobby and Chris a while, and guess all the old guys, about once every 5 or 6 months, I'll just call around or somebody will call back. Kind of, everybody's got their groups of people that they hang around with. You still stay in touch over the years. So.
Yeah, I'm curious. You fished the Toyota Series, right?
Yeah, he made the championship.
Yeah, I want to know, was this your first, not attempt, but your first actual getting back into a event series where you fish multiple events, besides the BFLs, but kind of at the higher level? It was your first one, right?
Yeah, fished all. Yep. I guess I think the year, since about 2016, I know I fished the Opens the year after I don't call it retire or quit, whatever you do. The year I stopped fishing the elites anyway, we'll call it that. But it's been about 5 years since I fished a bigger series that led to a championship, and that was kind of the end goal, just to see if I could do them all and try to make Pickwick and hopefully make a little bit of money along the way.
Yeah, very nice. Having said that, now, how do you look at the game from a technique standpoint, and over this 15-year span, 14-year span of when you started and you did win Rookie of the Year, how much of the game, in your opinion, has changed, and have you had to adapt to the way the game is today?
A little bit. I'm still a little hard-headed as far as all these electronics, but it is, I mean, just with everything out there. I did finally, like I said, I finally got a new engine on my boat, besides the point I needed that, but I put Ultrex on my boat. I still got the same boat I ran from the Elite Series. It's about paid for, and now I've got a new front and back on it, and I'm pretty tempted to probably put a 360 on the front, just because I've always run Humminbird, so I'm more comfortable with the Humminbird.
Yeah.
But I guess just because everybody has it, but also it's a beneficial tool for any type of fishing, that whether it's shallow or deep fishing. Because I'm still running older stuff, but I honestly think things are changing a little bit. I didn't get to keep up with it too much out here because I was at Chickamauga this past week. But the way things are changing, everybody's so well at offshore. It went back to like the days of Denny Brower and Tommy Biffle, where they were so good at shallow fishing because everybody shallow fished, that the guys that started fishing offshore started doing better 15 to 20 years ago, that whole range, you know. I honestly think it's going to make a transition back to where everybody's so good at reading their electronics and knowing what they're looking at and catching deep fish, where the guys that get better at just fishing the situation every day, going down the bank, 5 to 6, 7 bites. I honestly think that's how more tournaments are going to start getting won again. I mean, it may not, but within the next few years, I think we're going to see that transition a little bit.
Interesting. Matt? What's
more competitive? We were talking in the first segment about professional fishing beefs that Jeffries wanted to pair up in boats for but I was like, man, you've seen the professional fishing beefs and the guiding beefs, because it's like a pretty competitive deal there. I mean, you're like right in the mecca of Guidesville, where there's like 150 of them too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's quite a few guys that do it, and they're all really good at what they do. I kind of try to approach it, you know, getting back into it, I stayed fairly busy for a while up until whatever that was in June when I had the wreck, and I'm getting back into it, but it's hard because not that the lake's down, it's not the absolute mecca of bass fishing like it was 5 or 6 years ago when I started guiding. Still great lake, it's just they cycle. You know how TVA lakes cycle, just like Amistad and Falcons. Every lake cycles over years. Just more fishing pressure, more guys doing it. A few less people coming. It got a little spread out, but you know, luckily been doing it long enough where you kind of keep a little bit of client base. But obviously that's why I work a real job too, just to make sure I pay all the bills. But
guiding is a real job too, Derek.
Well, yeah, but it's fishing still. I mean, it's fun, and I try to approach it like a tournament. You know, like I just let people know, like we're just going to fish today, and you know, you can't get too locked. Even on a guide trip, you can't get too locked in on anything because it might not work that day, even though it worked yesterday. So you kind of got to keep an open mind. I try to approach it like I'm practicing or in a tournament, because you might run into that one thing one day that works, and it may not work again, but at least you put your clients on a lot of fish or a good time anyway. So
interesting.
Is the drop shot a player? I know I kind of teased that on that, but I remember when I came up and shot the Guntersville deal with you. You were talking about, you did something in there in the, I think it's in that Guntersville documentary.
I think you're right.
How you talked about how you can get comfortable with everything on Guntersville, every technique, including a drop shot.
Definitely. Yep.
But,
and it's kind of like every other bait out here right now. It's something you have. You know, you can throw more of a weedless one on the edge of some of that deeper eelgrass, or where you find deeper hydrilla. Obviously, for offshore fishing, it's pretty good, but they're getting used to it just like everything, because you know, every lake's highly pressured, and you just have to. Every bait kind of becomes something in the rotation where you might throw a crankbait a little while and catch a few, and then pick up a drop shot. Sometimes you start with a drop shot or a wacky worm if you find some offshore fish, but you just kind of base it on the water conditions more or less, if they're moving water, if there's got color to the water or not. But definitely always something I've rigged. whether I'm fishing the grass or the deeper stuff out here. And it's really very user-friendly, too, for trips. You know, if there is a school of fish somewhere, it's a great way to feel what's going on down there, easy way to catch a fish, and you do catch a lot of fish on it most of the time.
Yeah, that's cool. I have to ask, dude. You still have a lot of confidence in throwing the football jig? I got 2 of the original ones in my office over there from 2007. But do you still like doing that? Is that something that you still utilize?
Yep, I do. It's especially this time of year. You know, it's the same old when you're offshore fishing. You got about the same 8 to 10 rods rigged. You know, your jigs, your worms, and some have gotten added to the mix. You know, besides you got your scrounge and your drop shot. But football jig's always a staple when you're ledge fishing. Just it's kind of like I don't know what stuff. It's like a plastic worm in the same sense. It's been around forever, but they never quit biting it.
Yeah. A couple of people on the instant feedback want to know your thoughts. Seth Fighter from the Upper Midwest is thoroughly dominating on the Bassmaster Elite Series this year. Why do you think that a lot of the anglers from the Upper Midwest are really, really starting to perform in all tournament trails?
I think it's just probably because there's more of them starting to do it than when I first started.
Yeah.
Not that they're all really good fishermen too. I don't mean anything bad about anybody. But I think there's just more guys from up north in the Midwest that are starting to get into it now, and they're just as good as the guys down here. Because a lot of our lakes were, and Seth, I think he lived about 2 or 3 hours from where I grew up. They're pretty similar to a lot of southern lakes as far as they're flatter, shallower, a lot of grass or some type of vegetation. And they're good enough lakes where you can practice a lot of different ways to fish, so you can get good, or call it good, but get comfortable and confidence in just about any way, technique, shape, or form of what you want to try to do fishing. So I think that develops better fishermen, because not that the fish are always biting, but you know how fishing is. It's a confidence thing. If you know you've caught them before on a drop shot or a wacky worm or some of those new crazy stuff that's out that I don't even know about anymore, and you caught fish doing it, well, you know you can pick it up somewhere and do it in the same situation or the right circumstance. So I think that helps a lot too. With the fishing so good up there that, you know, it's always been walleye, muskie up there, but now everybody knows that the bass fishing is pretty well up there as well.
Yeah. Versatility too from those guys up north. I mean, I've just noticed that they're not one-dimensional, they're multi-dimensional, and I felt that way about you too.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think it is just because honestly, that's kind of why I moved here to Guntersville, like we were talking about earlier, because it very much reminded me of the lakes I grew up fishing. Because where I grew up, if you drew a circle, a 20-mile radius, there's probably 30 different lakes to fish, and none of them might have been even as big as North Saudi Creek or Mud Creek up the river, but they all had a lot of fish in them, and you could catch them a lot of different ways. So I think that's probably the main thing, is like you get the opportunity to fish a lot of different techniques and build that confidence in it. So you know how fishing is if you see the same situation, even though it's 1,000 miles away in a different lake, a bass is a bass is a bass, to where like you already know you can catch fish doing it, so might as well pick it up and try it. And then they catch fish doing it, and they get even better while they're at it. So,
yeah, I get that. Obviously, living on the lake, by the lake, a lot of people were talking about how clear the lake was during this event. Have you seen Guntersville as clear as it is right now, and all the time that you spent down there?
Yeah, just because we haven't had the rain for so long. I think it's kind of been the standard the last, I think, 5 out of the last 6 years now. It rains just ungodly amounts of rain, like build Noah's Ark pretty much until about April, and then it quits till October. It gets a little bit of color when the wind blows, but yeah, I noticed driving back, so I actually went to pick my son up this morning. It was every creek I drove across the way to Scottsboro was very, very clear. It was a green clear, but it was like not offshore fishing clear. It was more grass fishing clear. That's probably why I like the top waters and flipping around and plastic bite was a lot better, because fish stayed in the grass instead.
Yeah. All right, one more thing, and then I'll send it to you, Matt. Prior to the show, Matt and I got into a discussion, and I brought up that I feel it finally is time for bass to produce a tournament of champions where there's X number of people that have won the blue trophies to actually have an additional event with no entry fee and showcase the people over the past 14 years that have won Bassmaster Elite Series trophies to compete against each other. There's a lot of logistics and a lot of, let's just say, extracurricular activities that would have to be overcome to try and have that happen. But with the history of the Elite Series, I'm going to ask the guy that has one of those blue trophies, would that be something that if the offer was there, would you accept the offer to participate in a Tournament of Champions format?
Oh, I think definitely. I think you might be onto something there, actually, because that'd be kind of interesting, because that'd be about I figure 14 years, 8 to 10. That'd be a pretty solid field of people, you know, because actually wouldn't be that many, because there's a lot of guys that won a lot of them over the years too. So.
Yeah.
So that's I think you're onto something for sure at that one, and yeah, I talk about logistics, but you could set something up somewhere in the middle of the country. You know, everybody would do drop of a hat, they'd come to do that. I know I would for sure. So.
All right. That's interesting, because I think the fans would enjoy it. I think, obviously, it's not the Bassmaster Classic, but the history that has been developed with the Bassmaster Elite Series now, I think it's finally time to have a Tournament of Champions.
Definitely. Yeah, I've never thought about that before, but that's definitely a great idea.
All right, cool. Matt?
You touched a little bit about it before, about kind of some of the advances in electronics and stuff, but man, you obviously were heavily involved in it at the professional level, did it full time, still got a little bit, but man, you're 6 years removed from the Elite Series now. Do you feel like the guys that are on the BPT and the Elite Series are working with a whole different set of tools than you did 6 years ago? Or do you think it's basically the same thing? Or if you were to get back at that level, would it take a while to adjust to some of the new stuff?
It honestly would take a little while to adjust. I think it's probably on the same scale, you know, because the first, 5 or 6 years when I started, there was nobody knew anything about side scan, down scan, all that. It was just your regular GPS with your regular sonar, and then, you know, the side scan comes out and the down scan comes out and so on, to where probably on the same level, it's just everything's so much more advanced, to where it would probably take me, honestly, a year to catch up just with reading the new electronics and getting to know what you're looking at. But I've been in a few boats with some guys that got them, and it's very, very amazing how good this, like, it's not going to call it cheating, but when you can look with your trolling motor and be like, there's fish, then yeah, I mean, but it's definitely way more advanced than when I was fishing, but it's probably what, you know, when we were fishing with side scan and down scan 10 years prior, those guys probably thought that's way more advanced than anything we ever had 10 years prior. So it's probably on the same level, just different scale of technology these days.
And then kind of my last question, you got any sponsors? You have any sponsors left at all, or?
You know, honestly, I don't know, because I haven't really talked to anybody. Well, I'm sure everybody's just a phone call away. It's just, you know, time gets away from you. I've got a 4-year-old son, and between fishing, I don't say I stay very busy guiding, but I average in the peak seasons at 2 to 3 trips a week, plus working and chasing the kid around. You lose touch with people over the years, and that's on me a little bit, but I'm sure if I could call some people, they'd, not that even if they were sponsors or not, just at least touch base, just to rekindle what we used to have anyway. You know what I mean? Just I feel bad for not staying in touch with people, but just, you know, time gets
it happens
sometimes too.
Yeah. So. And then you don't have to say, if you know what line of work are you in?
It's actually a pretty good gig. It's a Target distribution center. It's down here in Huntsville, and honestly, it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's full time with health insurance, which I needed obviously not too long ago.
Yeah.
But it allows me to guide Tuesdays through Fridays, which generally is when most of my trips are on weekdays. And I've been there long enough, I can take a vacation day or two if I want to fish a tournament on the weekend. So it goes hand in hand, you know, with fishing. So it works out really, really, really well to have that guaranteed money no matter what, and then fishing bonus. So and it's fun. So
that's awesome. Hey, when's the last time you've done an interview?
Oh boy, it's I did.
I'm just curious.
A little bit. Well, you know, I did one, I guess, at Dale Hollow, but other than that, this is probably the last time first time since I was fishing. So or right after I got done fishing. So.
It would have. So it would have been for that Guntersville documentary.
That wasn't really an interview though.
That was a pretty good interview. I had him sitting down, and we did the whole. He took me on the tour, the house at the top of the hill, and then we drove down. And
and that was like everybody from around this area, right?
Yeah.
Yep, I remember that. So that
they're
was,
all still there
about the
except
last
Hawk.
time.
Hawk packed up and said, not for me.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Still on the same little place on top of the mountain. I even added a shop to put my boat and truck in not too long ago. So
nice.
So we're moving on up in the world. So.
Nice. Well, dude, I thought it was a great idea to get you on, and especially with me being a rookie out there trying to cover the Elite Series, what you did in 2007. Folks, if you don't know what he did, you need to go back and you need to look at some of the archive video that's out there.
I wonder if Bassmaster has it on their...
I think they do.
Yeah, I think you could probably find it on their website or YouTube. Everything's on YouTube.
Did you say you watch it on cassette tape?
DVD.
Well, DVD. Yeah. Well, what is? Not that old. Come on, now. But
that's
DVD,
me.
Okay.
That is me. All right. The last thing I want to do is I want to give you a plug, and if anybody out there would be interested in taking a fantastic trip with Derek on Lake Guntersville, what do they need to do?
The easiest way is I've got it on my website, just DerekRemitzFishing.com. I need to update my website a little bit as well, but if you just look at DerekRemitzFishing.com, it's got, kind of the standard guide page, but kind of goes through the day. There's a link to not necessarily book your trip, but a link just to get a hold of me through email, phone numbers listed on there. That's probably the best way. I'm getting better at Facebook and all this now too. So anybody that looks me up on Facebook, I don't get back to you immediately. I'm sorry, but I'll get back to you within a day or two. So.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm getting better at all this social media. Sorry to mean, I'm trying to get better at all this social media stuff as well. So.
Yeah, me too. I'll never get better. Anyway, there's a couple of people.
Jeffries acts like he doesn't know about it, that he sits there and creeps around.
No, creeps. I don't creep around at all.
No, not in a
on
bad
anything.
way. I'm just
I don't creep. All right. Anyway, Derek, a couple of people.
That was a poor choice of
That
words.
was.
You know
Wow.
what I mean. You follow.
Yeah.
You know how Facebook works.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Do you know how Instagram works?
Not really. I don't. I got a little. You remember when we were going to? Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
You don't live stream NBA 2K on Twitch?
No.
You
Derek,
lost me a while ago.
a couple people on the comments and on the instant feedback want to know why you made the decision to get away from the Elite Series at that time of your life.
There's a couple of reasons. We were thinking about starting a family, and it was, for me, it was a great way to make a living like I did for about 10 or 11 years there, but I kind of just had to sit back and look at where I might be in another 10 or 12 years, to where I was making some money every year, but I didn't see myself getting ahead, and I honestly wasn't the best at going out trying to lock down sponsors, and just didn't have that side of it down real well. I mean, I had the fishing side okay sometimes, but as far as, the what would you call it, the business side of it, I guess, was never my strongest point, where probably hindered me a little bit, but I just never could get that figured out. And but also with having the kid, I just decided, I just didn't want to be traveling, spending all that money when I need to put more time and effort into him as well.
Yeah, that's a great reason. All right, last question. Do you still have somewhere the Omega jersey that you won that title in back in 2007? Do you still have it?
I do. Yep, it's in my closet. Saving it for a 4-year-old whenever he wants it. So
that's nice. That's really cool. It was a very distinctive looking jersey back in the day when there was no sublimation.
Was that the yellow with the black cracks on it, and then the horseshoe?
It was really cool. The Omega symbol.
Kind of like one of. Yeah, that, and it was the style that Skeet Reese used to always wear, the old button-up ones before the jersey ones got real cool.
Yeah, no sublimation. I think Jeff Crete was the first one to get a sublimated jersey.
I thought Aaron was.
I think Jeff was, because it was a bicycle jersey. It was a bicycle jersey
those are
that he
bicycle
got.
shorts that he was wearing.
He was wearing those too, but that's where he got it from.
Yeah.
Anyway, Derek, this has been really, really cool. We would definitely like to stay in touch with you, have you back on the show. In the coming months, and I'm glad to see you're doing so well, and wish you nothing but the best to you and your family and everything you have going on, man.
Well, I sure appreciate it, Mark. Man, I'm glad y'all had me on, and I appreciate the call the other day to have me on. That was a nice little, what do you call it? Something out of the blue. I was like, absolutely, that sounds like a great idea. So
yeah, I know, fans. If you don't know who this man is, peruse the internet. Don't creep the internet. Peruse the internet.
Browse, I think it's the proper word.
And check out what
I'm sorry,
what Derek Remitz has done.
That's not at all the connotation I meant to.
That's all right. It's all good, man. Some of the great things that Derek Remitz has done in the bass fishing tournament world. All right, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you. I know I'm going to get down to Alabama soon. And when I do, I definitely want to make sure that I hook up and spend some time with you, man.
Absolutely. Sounds like a plan, Mark. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, you too. You guys
All
have a
right,
good
see
evening.
you. All right. There you have it, folks. Derek Remitz. That was good stuff,
Yeah,
dude.
I bet you could talk Derek Remitz into taking you out for a half day. A half day with the Zara Spook and a half day with the Carolina rig.
Or a football jig.
Or football jig.
Do you remember him throwing the football jig? Dude,
Yeah.
it was
No, I remember.
impressive.
So I didn't obviously didn't know who you were, and
Yeah.
well, no, and that at that time, the very beginning of that season, I didn't meet you until midway through that season. But yeah, I remember watching. I mean, the guy started off with 3 top 5s in his first 4 Elite Series events. He had the first, the second, and then a 75th, and then he came back with a 5th. It was the hottest start.
I think nobody's ever had a start like
Well,
that.
obviously because the Elite Series had just started too.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, 3 top 5s in the first 4 tournaments.
Yeah. How cool is that?
And that was 100 and what? Was there 110, 112, 100?
I think so.
There were a bunch of guys in that field.
Yeah, and it was so impressive. So, folks, like I said, check out what the man has done. And then also, if you do want to take a trip to Lake Guntersville, not a better guy to spend the day on the water at Guntersville with than Derek.
What was it, Derek?
What?
Derek
I think it's just
Remitz.
DerekRemitz.com.
No.
Oh.
I think there was a fishing in there. No?
I don't think so.
Let me find
You're
it.
checking it out right now, though.
Oh, you're right. DerekRemitz.com. DerekRemitz.
Yeah.
Let's see how long it's been since he updated it. What's his latest his latest news?
That's how you get in touch with him, though, and he's
That'd
trying.
be a Facebook post from 2018.
One of the good dudes that started this show off on the Bassmaster Elite Series, and I greatly appreciate him taking time out to be on the show. That's good stuff.
Yeah, there's just a guide services tab on the top. That would be well worth it. The guy, 100%, has spent a lot of time on the water, knows his stuff, and is a good time to be on the water with.
All right, man. We're going to close out a couple of things. A lot of discussion on the board and the comments about this professional team trail that I brought up many weeks ago and many years ago. Could the nation and would the industry support a high-dollar professional team trail? And I actually received an email. I received several emails from people, and there's been several comments about the TTO Pro Team Series that's going to take place in 2021. 3 events, high dollar entry fee, a side pot of $700 entry fee, and it's got a pretty good payback. And a lady by the name of Pamela, who is actually involved in this, sent me this email and said, hey, we would love to be able to come on and talk about this thing that they have that's going to take place. And I know one of the stops, actually 2 of the stops off the top of my head that I remember, one is, I believe, Sam Rayburn, and the other one's Lake Texoma. It's not national. It's kind of regionalized, but we also have another guest that's going to come on very soon and talk about it too. Right, Matt?
Yes. Probably one of the top
team
top
players.
20 team tournament anglers of all time.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Fair to say, man. It really is.
Todd Castledine. He's fished the tour. He's fished the opens. We talked about it a little bit, but yeah, I talked with Todd, and I think I mentioned it on the show a couple days ago. But yes, he will be joining us for that because, dude, the guy's fished the Platinum. He's fished this. He's fished every major team trail around that Texas, and is one of the few guys who's made a living at it.
Mm-hmm. So looking forward to that,
and became well known. He gained sponsorships because of his performance in team tournaments too.
Yeah, it's well worth the money too.
Yeah,
well worth the money.
I don't think people realize how hard it is to go out in a team tournament and catch them.
Dude, what do the vast majority of tournament anglers do across this country? I'm going to say it again.
Fail.
Well, that depends on how you look at it, right, Matt?
Deplete their life savings.
Oh, I was not expecting that answer. Fail. That's definitely a soundbite right there. No. What do? They fish team tournaments, right? They fail.
What was the question?
Suddenly you have turned into negative Nelly. Not me.
Well, I wanted to be like Derek. Why? Well, part of me wanted to be like Derek. Why did you
fail?
Why did you step away from the Elite Series? And I almost was like, because he cashed 3 checks in his last 13 events.
Oh my gosh, man! You have become really negative lately. There's nothing wrong with it because you're speaking the truth.
What was the question? What was the question?
What does the vast majority of tournament anglers do across this nation? Fail. Just a big F. Fail.
That's true.
That goes totally against the argument that we've had for years and years and years about what's success and what's failure.
You know what?
You said it yourself right there. The soundbite of the century. Fail.
Well, you can pay the bills with pride, then we'll rediscuss.
Oh my goodness, man. Wow. That's
so apparently
that is almost as good as the color 7.
Let's rewind it here. Ask the question again. Ask it one more time.
One more time for the third time. What do the vast majority of anglers across this nation do?
Mark, I believe they fish team tournaments.
There you have it, folks. Exactly. So why do we not have a high dollar? Because I firmly believe, being in this industry for as many years as I had, there are at least 60 teams across the nation that would pony up the money to have an 8-event tournament series and a championship across the nation.
Can we make money on this?
No, you know why? Because most people that run tournament organizations throughout the years do what?
Make a lot of money.
They fail.
No, they don't. Not people who run the tournament organizations.
No, you're right. No. Believe me, dude.
You want to run some numbers on who makes the money. They're the only people who are making the money.
No, believe me. Over the years, the number of tournament trails that have come and went in this industry from a local and a regional
because they take all the money off of the sucker anglers.
There are numerous reasons why.
And then they
reasons why.
Then they go to their vacation home in the Hamptons, eating escargot because some guy thought that he was delusional that he was going to catch him on Grand Lake.
Oh my goodness!
$1,500 in a weekend,
dude. You are on your A game today. I got to tell you, man. Really, really good stuff. Great stuff. All right, so tomorrow, no show. You know why, Matthew? I told you why. You should know why. You forgot already?
Oh, you're going striper fishing.
I'm going striper fishing, and here's what we're going to do, folks. I may actually go live on the phone right here. Little YouTube action if we get into them really good and we have a good cell signal.
If you don't get into the striper on Texoma really good, there's a problem, especially when you're using live shad.
And you're with a guy.
What did the guide say? You had like a long conversation with him because I heard you be like, "Oh, really? Oh, okay." Like,
he's been limiting out in like an hour and a half, if not quicker.
Oh, because then he just drops them off and gets his full day guide service, right?
Yeah. So he said they're really, really catching some good fish
on shad.
Yeah, not sassy shad, not on
top
water
that's
yet.
Not a secret.
So, I mean, that's
They get
like
on top
common
water
knowledge.
there, what, July, August? July, August?
July, August?
June.
June.
God, remember that time?
Oh,
me
it
and
was
you?
so much fun. And hopefully we can do that this year. We didn't get a chance to do it last year, Matt.
Wait a second. Let me look at
Hopefully we
my
can do
June
that.
schedule.
You got it right there, don't you?
I'm going to have time in June.
So we're going to be able to do that in June.
100%. And here's the crazy thing. I've got forward-facing sonar on my boat. So
we're going in your boat. I mean, we're going in the Bass Cat. That's the bottom line.
We can chase them down.
I want to see you do that. I still have yet to experience the Bass Cat experience with you in total command. Dude, I'm just going to sit back and eat oranges. Fish a little bit.
I'm going to make you wear a life jacket the whole time.
I've been out twice, and I haven't fell in the lake.
I'm going to put the sit-down seat in the back. I'm putting the David Fritz seat in the back.
Oh, they want to know if I'm going to throw the sea rig.
I'm going to get some cool rags for the ice chest that we can put around your neck so you don't overheat.
Oh, wow.
Ladder's going to be down for first cast in the back.
I told you the story one time when I did fall in the lake at Tank Killer. I had to straddle the trolling motor.
Yes, and that was pre-injury.
Yeah. So, so no show tomorrow. And then on Thursday, Frank Scalish, day 4. Matt will be in Tulsa. I will be here in studio. And we will continue to be educated on what the genius, Mr. Frank Scalish, has to say on day 4. So great stuff. By the way, you know, the live bait setup that they have for stripers is basically a Carolina rig.
I was thinking if in any of the tournaments, if I exclusively cash a check using a Carolina rig, will you match the prize fund up to
X amount of dollars?
Up to $5,000.
No, because I don't want to put pressure on you.
No. I'm just saying exclusively. Like if I catch one on anything else, it doesn't count.
Back up a minute. When is the last time that you've thrown a Carolina rig? Seriously.
Legitimately?
In a tournament. Can you even remember?
Yes, it would have been in the Sooner Bass Anglers qualifying tournament on Grand Lake. There were 3 teams and only 2 teams went to the national championship, and I threw one on Grand Lake, and I can even tell you the year it would be. It would have been June of 2007.
Oh my gosh. That long ago. 14 years ago. Wow. All right. We're going to have to go throw a Carolina rig here soon. Very soon. All right. You know why? Because you need to show me some of your spinning rod and reel tricks. I'm a little dicey on that.
Yeah, but you're not fishing tournaments. You don't want to catch 2.5 pounders. I mean, I don't.
I saw
do
some
it
3.5 pound spots
for the joy of the fight. I do it because it's what has to be done.
Oh, wow. Yep, you're right.
I mean, there's really no point in you.
Well, I just thought you might throw me a couple of bones.
No, I would be glad to, but it's kind of counterproductive. Because if you go out, I mean, if you want to catch a bunch of little ones.
I think a Carolina rig's going to come into play at Champlain.
In the Elite Series, yeah. Well, I fish Oneida. I believe they throw it on there.
Yeah. I think it'll come into play there, too, a little bit, too. Anyway, great show, folks. Hey, great questions. Thank you so much for tuning in to this special afternoon edition of BTL. And no show tomorrow. We're back on Thursday with Frank. Anything else, Matthew?
I need a drink.
Video out yet?
Yeah.
The James?
Oh, no.
Oh.
No,
Soon?
I'll tell you what.
Next week?
The practice video will be out. The day 1 and 2 video is still in the GoPro in the Bass Cat. I'm so disgusted with it, I haven't even downloaded it yet.
Wow. Okay. Well.
But it will be.
Okay.
But the James River practice is awesome.
Yeah. We have some classic talk we need to get to also.
It is that time.
I'm working on that.
It is that time.
My classic odds show also.
Who wins the BPT tomorrow at the Harris Chain?
Bobby Lane.
I think Brett Height's Magic Hydrilla patch is going to be hard to beat.
Are we going Chick-fil-A on this? Whoever finishes higher, Bobby or Brett Height. Yeah.
I'm game with that.
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
Obviously grilled for me. Gotta have
Spicy with the pickles for me.
All right, sounds good. All right, folks, back on Thursday. Everybody out there, have a very, very safe evening. That's it. We're out of here.